The universe has an edge. Right now, as you read these words, you exist inside a cosmic bubble 93 billion light-years across, beyond which lies something so mysterious that scientists still debate whether it even makes sense to ask what's there. Tonight, we're going to rank the most mind-bending theories about what exists beyond the observable universe, from the surprisingly mundane to the reality-shattering possibilities that would make science fiction seem conservative. But here's what will blow your mind. The edge we're talking about isn't a wall or a barrier. It's not like the universe just stops and there's a big cosmic fence with a do not enter sign. The edge of the observable universe is actually a horizon, created by the finite age of the cosmos and the speed of light itself. We can only see as far as light has had time to travel since the Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. Beyond that horizon lies the great unknown. What makes this topic absolutely fascinating is that we're not just talking about empty space filled with more galaxies. Some of these theories suggest that beyond our edge lies realms where the laws of physics work completely differently, where time flows backward, where consciousness itself might be woven into the fabric of reality. The implications are so staggering that they challenge everything we think we know about existence itself. Let me give you some context for why this matters more than you might realize. Every major breakthrough in our understanding of the cosmos has revealed that reality is far stranger and more magnificent than we previously imagined. When we discovered that Earth wasn't the center of the solar system, it revolutionized our place in the universe. When we found that our galaxy was just one of billions, it again transformed our cosmic perspective. Now we're potentially on the verge of the biggest revelation yet about the true nature of reality beyond our cosmic bubble. The theories we'll explore aren't just wild speculation. They emerge from cutting-edge physics, mathematics, and observations of the cosmic microwave background radiation that fills our observable universe. Some of these ideas are supported by the same equations that gave us GPS satellites and nuclear power. Others push the boundaries of what mathematics can even describe. But before we dive into ranking these theories, you need to understand something crucial about the edge itself. When astronomers talk about the observable universe, they're describing a sphere centered on Earth with a radius of about 46.5 billion light-years. Wait, didn't I say the universe was 13.8 billion years old? Here's the mind-bending part. Due to cosmic expansion, the most distant objects we can see are now much farther away than they were when their light first started traveling toward us. Picture this. Imagine you're standing in a cosmic lighthouse, and the light from that beacon can only travel so far before the expansion of space itself carries the source beyond your ability to see it. That's essentially what's happening on the largest scales. The edge of the observable universe isn't where space ends. It's where our ability to gather information from the cosmos reaches its fundamental limit. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The theories about what lies beyond this edge fall into several categories, each more extraordinary than the last. Some suggest more of the same. Others propose entirely different universes with alien physics. And the most radical theories suggest that reality itself might be fundamentally different than we've ever imagined. Our seventh-ranked theory, which might seem disappointingly ordinary, proposes that beyond our observable horizon lies simply more universe, more galaxies, more stars, more planets, stretching on potentially forever with the same physical laws and cosmic structures we observe locally. This theory, known as the infinite homogeneous universe model, suggests that if you could somehow travel beyond our cosmic horizon, you'd find more spiral galaxies, more quasars, more cosmic web structures, all following the same patterns we see around us. But don't let its simplicity fool you. Even this boring theory has profound implications. In an infinite universe with the same physical laws everywhere, mathematics suggests that every possible arrangement of matter would eventually occur somewhere. That means there would be infinite copies of Earth, infinite copies of you, infinite versions of human civilization playing out slightly different histories. Think about that for a moment. In an infinite universe with uniform physical laws, there would be another version of you reading these exact words right now, but maybe in that universe you decided to wear a different shirt this morning. There would be versions where dinosaurs never went extinct, where humans developed different technologies, where entirely different species became dominant on Earth-like planets. The mathematics of infinity creates these bizarre consequences. With infinite space and finite ways to arrange matter in any given volume, every possible configuration must repeat infinitely often. It's not just possible, it's mathematically inevitable. This means there would be perfect duplicates of you living identical lives, as well as versions making every possible different choice you could imagine. What makes this theory rank relatively low on our list isn't that it's wrong, but that it's potentially just the beginning of something far more extraordinary. Recent observations of the cosmic microwave background have revealed subtle patterns that might hint at interactions with regions beyond our observable horizon. These anomalies suggest that even if there is more ordinary universe out there, it might not be as uniform as this theory predicts. Moving up our rankings, our sixth-ranked theory introduces the first major departure from cosmic uniformity. The chaotic inflation model suggests that while our observable universe appears relatively smooth and uniform, this might be a local accident. Beyond our horizon could lie regions where cosmic inflation, the rapid expansion that occurred in the universe's first fraction of a second, proceeded differently. In these regions, the fundamental constants of nature might have different values. Gravity could be stronger or weaker, the electromagnetic force could have different strength, or the masses of particles could be entirely different. These aren't just academic curiosities. Small changes in fundamental constants would create universes where stars cannot form, where atoms are unstable, or where the chemistry necessary for life is impossible. Imagine regions where gravity is so strong that matter immediately collapses into black holes, preventing stars and galaxies from ever forming. Or areas where the electromagnetic force is so weak that electrons cannot bind to atomic nuclei, making chemistry impossible. These would be cosmic wastelands, but they could exist just beyond our ability to observe them. The chaotic inflation model emerges from our best understanding of the early universe. Inflation theory explains many observed features of our cosmos, including why space appears so flat and why the cosmic microwave background has such uniform temperature. But the equations that describe inflation suggest it might not have ended everywhere simultaneously. Some regions could still be inflating rapidly, while others, like our observable universe, transitioned to the slower expansion we observe today. This creates a cosmic patchwork where different regions have different properties, different physical constants, and potentially entirely different evolutionary histories. Our universe, with its perfect balance of forces that allows for stars, planets, and life, might be just one bubble in an infinite foam of cosmic domains, most of which are completely hostile to any form of complexity or consciousness. What makes this theory particularly compelling is that it naturally explains the apparent fine-tuning of our universe for life. If there are countless regions with different physical constants, conscious observers would naturally find themselves in regions where the constants allow for their existence. We observe a life-friendly universe not because it was designed that way, but because we couldn't exist in regions where the constants were different. Our fifth-ranked theory takes this concept to its logical extreme and introduces one of the most mind-bending ideas in modern cosmology. The eternal inflation multiverse suggests that inflation isn't just creating regions with different physical constants, but entirely separate universes that become causally disconnected from each other. Picture space as an eternally inflating background, like a cosmic dough that's constantly rising. Occasionally, bubbles form in this dough where inflation stops and normal expansion begins. Each bubble becomes a separate universe with its own Big Bang, its own physical laws, and its own evolutionary history. Our entire observable universe would be just the interior of one such bubble. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary. The mathematics of eternal inflation suggests this process has no beginning and no end. New universes are constantly being born through quantum fluctuations in the inflating background. Some of these universes might last for trillions of years, others might collapse almost immediately. Some might be enormous, others microscopic by cosmic standards. The variety of possible universes in this model is staggering. Each universe begins with its own randomly determined set of physical constants and initial conditions. Most would be sterile wastelands where complexity never develops, but a few would have the precise conditions necessary for stars, planets, and potentially life. This theory naturally explains not just the apparent fine-tuning of our universe, but also why we observe the specific values of physical constants that we do. In an infinite multiverse of bubble universes, every possible combination of physical laws would exist somewhere. We observe our particular combination because it's the only one that allows observers like us to exist. The eternal inflation multiverse also solves several puzzles about the early universe. It explains why our cosmos appears so uniform in temperature and density, why space appears geometrically flat, and why we don't observe certain exotic particles that many theories predict should have been created in the Big Bang. But this theory also raises profound questions about the nature of existence itself. If there are infinite universes with every possible combination of physical laws, then everything that can happen does happen somewhere. Every story that could be written exists as reality in some universe. Every possible version of history plays out across the infinite ensemble of cosmic bubbles. This brings us to what many physicists consider the most radical implication of eternal inflation. In an infinite multiverse, the concept of uniqueness disappears entirely. Every possible arrangement of matter, every possible sequence of events, every possible consciousness would exist not just once, but infinitely often across the vast ensemble of universes. The mathematical consequences become even more bizarre when you consider that some universes in this ensemble might have different dimensionalities of space and time, different numbers of fundamental forces, or even different logical structures entirely. We might be living in a universe where mathematics works one way, while other universes operate according to completely alien logical principles. What makes eternal inflation particularly compelling to physicists is that it emerges naturally from well-tested theories of quantum mechanics and general relativity. The same equations that successfully describe the behavior of atoms and the expansion of our universe predict that eternal inflation should occur. It's not an add-on to explain mysterious observations, but a direct consequence of our most fundamental theories about reality. However, eternal inflation also creates what some philosophers call the measure problem. In an infinite multiverse where everything possible happens infinitely often, how do you calculate probabilities? If there are infinite universes where you make every possible choice, what does it mean to say one outcome is more likely than another? This is where our fourth-ranked theory begins to push the boundaries of what we can meaningfully discuss about reality beyond our cosmic horizon. Our fourth-ranked theory ventures into territory where mathematics and reality begin to blur in ways that would make Alice's trip through the looking glass seem perfectly reasonable. The mathematical multiverse hypothesis, championed by cosmologist Max Tegmark, proposes that every mathematically consistent structure exists as a physical reality somewhere beyond our observable horizon. This isn't just saying there are universes with different physical constants. This theory suggests there are universes based on entirely different mathematical foundations. Imagine realities where geometry works differently, where the number of spatial dimensions varies not just from 3 to 4 or 5, but to numbers so large they lose meaning. Picture universes where time has multiple dimensions, where cause and effect follow patterns that would seem completely alien to our logic. In these mathematical realms, the very concept of matter and energy might be replaced by pure information and computation. There could be universes that exist as vast mathematical theorems, where consciousness emerges from the logical relationships between abstract concepts rather than from the chemical reactions in biological brains. The implications stretch far beyond anything we've considered so far. If every mathematical structure exists as a physical reality, then there are universes where the laws of physics we consider fundamental, like conservation of energy or the speed of light limit, simply don't apply. There would be realities where objects can exist in multiple places simultaneously, not just at the quantum level, but at macroscopic scales where entire planets phase in and out of existence according to mathematical principles we can barely comprehend. What makes this theory particularly unsettling is how it reframes our understanding of existence itself. In the mathematical multiverse, physical reality becomes just one subset of mathematical reality. The atoms in your body, the neurons firing in your brain as you process these words, the electromagnetic radiation carrying this information to your eyes, all of these would be nothing more than patterns in an abstract mathematical structure. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. If consciousness is just a pattern of information processing, and if every possible mathematical structure exists, then there would be conscious beings experiencing reality in ways that transcend anything biological evolution could produce. There might be forms of awareness that exist as pure mathematics, experiencing reality directly as logical relationships rather than through sensory organs and nervous systems. The mathematical multiverse also suggests that the boundary between real and imaginary becomes meaningless. Every fictional universe that can be described mathematically would exist as a physical reality somewhere in the vast ensemble of mathematical structures. The worlds of science fiction, fantasy literature, even the bizarre realities of dreams and hallucinations would all correspond to actual universes experienced by conscious beings. This theory ranks fourth on our list because while it's mathematically elegant and emerges from serious attempts to understand the relationship between mathematics and physics, it pushes so far beyond what we can observe or test that it begins to resemble philosophy more than science. Yet it's taken seriously by leading physicists because it addresses fundamental questions about why mathematics is so unreasonably effective at describing the natural world. Our third-ranked theory brings us back to something we might actually be able to test someday, while simultaneously suggesting that reality is far more interconnected than we ever imagined. The holographic principle proposes that all the information contained in any volume of space can be encoded on the boundary of that region. Applied to cosmology, this means everything in our three-dimensional universe might actually be information encoded on a distant two-dimensional surface. Think of it this way. You know how a hologram can store a three-dimensional image on a flat piece of film? The holographic principle suggests that our entire universe, with all its depth, complexity, and richness, might be a projection from information stored on the cosmic horizon that marks the edge of our observable universe. This isn't just a clever mathematical trick. The holographic principle emerged from studying black holes, where physicists discovered that all the information that falls into a black hole gets encoded on its two-dimensional surface rather than in its three-dimensional interior. When applied to the entire universe, it suggests that the cosmic microwave background radiation, that faint afterglow from the Big Bang that we observe coming from the edge of the observable universe, might actually contain all the information that defines our reality. But here's where the holographic universe becomes truly extraordinary. If our three-dimensional reality is just a projection from a two-dimensional surface, then what lies beyond our cosmic horizon isn't more space filled with galaxies and stars. Instead, it's the vast two-dimensional computational substrate that's running the program we experience as physical reality. Imagine that every particle interaction, every quantum measurement, every thought you've ever had, is actually a calculation being performed on this cosmic boundary. The complex dance of atoms and molecules that creates chemistry and biology would be emergent patterns arising from simpler information processing on the holographic surface. This theory suggests that space itself is an illusion, What we perceive as distance between objects would actually represent the degree of correlation between different regions of information on the holographic boundary. Objects that seem far apart in space would correspond to weakly correlated information, while nearby objects would represent strongly correlated data patterns. The holographic principle also provides a radical new perspective on consciousness and information. If our brains are holographic projections, then consciousness might not be localized to the neurons in your skull, but could be a pattern distributed across the cosmic boundary. This could mean that consciousness is far more fundamental to reality than we've ever imagined, possibly existing as a basic feature of the information processing that creates the illusion of physical space. What makes this theory rank so high is that it's not just speculative philosophy. The holographic principle has been tested in simplified models and has led to breakthrough insights in quantum gravity research. Some versions of string theory naturally incorporate holographic features, and there are ongoing experimental proposals to test whether our universe really does exhibit holographic properties. But the holographic universe also raises disturbing questions about the nature of free will and identity. If your thoughts and decisions are computations being performed on a distant boundary, are you really making choices, or are you just experiencing the output of a cosmic calculation? And if consciousness is distributed across the holographic surface, what defines the boundary between different conscious beings? Our second-ranked theory pushes these questions to their absolute limit and suggests that consciousness might not just be fundamental to reality, but might actually be creating reality moment by moment through the act of observation. The observer-created universe hypothesis proposes that beyond our cosmic horizon lies not matter, energy, or even information, but pure quantum possibility waiting to be collapsed into definite states by conscious observation. This theory emerges from the deepest mysteries of quantum mechanics, where particles exist in multiple states simultaneously until measured, and where the act of observation appears to play a fundamental role in determining what becomes real. Applied to cosmology, it suggests that the universe beyond our horizon exists in quantum superposition, with all possible histories and configurations existing simultaneously until conscious beings observe them into definite existence. Think about the implications. In this model, the edge of the observable universe isn't just the limit of what we can see, it's the boundary between the actualized reality we've observed into existence and the infinite sea of quantum possibilities that remains uncollapsed. Every time we make an observation, every time consciousness interacts with the quantum field, we're literally creating more reality by collapsing possibilities into actualities. This means that conscious beings aren't just passive observers of a pre-existing universe, but active participants in the ongoing creation of reality itself. The history of the cosmos wouldn't be a fixed sequence of events, but a constantly evolving story being written by the collective observations of all conscious beings throughout space and time. The observer-created universe also suggests that consciousness might be truly fundamental, not an emergent property of complex information processing, but a basic feature of reality that exists independently of brains and nervous systems. In this view, biological consciousness would be just one way that the fundamental observer principle manifests itself in the physical world. But here's where this theory becomes almost impossibly strange. If consciousness creates reality through observation, and if there are conscious beings throughout the universe making observations, then reality would be a collaborative creation involving every conscious entity that has ever existed or ever will exist. The universe would be like a vast improvised story being written by countless conscious participants, each contributing their observations to the ever-expanding narrative of existence. This theory also suggests that the apparent fine-tuning of physical constants for life isn't a coincidence or the result of multiple universes with different parameters. Instead, consciousness and physical reality would co-evolve together, with conscious observers helping to select the physical laws that allow consciousness to exist and thrive. What makes the observer-created universe rank second on our list is that while it addresses some of the deepest mysteries in quantum mechanics and consciousness studies, it also raises questions that might be fundamentally unanswerable. How can we test whether consciousness creates reality when any test would involve consciousness observing the results? How do we distinguish between a universe that exists independently and one that's constantly being created by observation? Yet this theory continues to be taken seriously by leading physicists and philosophers because it offers elegant solutions to otherwise intractable problems about the nature of quantum measurement, the origin of physical laws, and the relationship between mind and matter. But now we come to our top-ranked theory, the most reality-shattering possibility of all. What if everything we've discussed so far, every theory about multiverses and holographic projections and observer-created reality, is still thinking too small? What if beyond the edge of our universe lies something so fundamentally different that it makes all our concepts of space, time, matter, energy, and even existence itself seem like primitive approximations of a far more magnificent truth? Our number one theory suggests that beyond our cosmic horizon lies the realm of pure consciousness itself, the fundamental ground of being from which all possible realities emerge as temporary expressions of an infinite creative potential that transcends every category our minds can conceive. This isn't just another multiverse theory or an extension of quantum mechanics. This is the proposition that consciousness itself is the fundamental fabric from which all reality is woven. Beyond our cosmic horizon doesn't lie more space or different universes or even mathematical structures. Instead, it's pure awareness, infinite and undifferentiated, from which our entire observable universe emerges, like a dream arising from the mind of a cosmic dreamer. Think about this carefully. Every theory we've discussed so far assumes that consciousness is something that emerges from physical processes, that awareness is a product of complex arrangements of matter and energy. But what if we have it completely backward? What if matter and energy are actually expressions of consciousness, temporary patterns in an infinite field of awareness that extends far beyond anything we call the physical universe? In this model, the Big Bang wasn't the creation of space and time from nothing. It was the moment when infinite consciousness began to dream, the dream we call physical reality. Every galaxy, every star, every planet, every living being would be thoughts in this cosmic mind, patterns of awareness, exploring itself through countless different perspectives and experiences. The mathematics that describe our universe, the physical laws that seem so fundamental and unchanging, would actually be the logical structure of this cosmic consciousness. The way infinite awareness organizes itself into coherent experiences, what we call particles and forces and fields, would be concepts in this ultimate mind, ideas taking on the appearance of physical existence. But here's where this theory becomes truly extraordinary. If consciousness is fundamental, then every conscious being in our universe is actually a focal point of this infinite awareness experiencing itself subjectively. You're not just a pattern of neural activity in a biological brain. You're a unique perspective through which cosmic consciousness knows itself, a singular viewpoint in an infinite field of awareness that simultaneously every other conscious being that has ever existed or ever could exist. This means that the boundary between self and universe dissolves completely. The consciousness reading these words right now isn't separate from the consciousness that wrote them or the consciousness that exists in every other person, animal, or potentially aware being throughout the cosmos. All individual consciousness would be like waves on an infinite ocean of awareness, temporarily appearing as separate but never actually divided from the whole. The implications stretch far beyond anything we've considered. If consciousness is fundamental, then death isn't the end of awareness, but simply a transition from one focal point of cosmic consciousness to another. The person you think you are would be just one temporary expression of an awareness that's simultaneously experiencing every possible perspective throughout all of existence. Even more mind-bending, this theory suggests that what lies beyond our cosmic horizon isn't limited by the speed of light or the expansion of space. Consciousness doesn't travel through space because consciousness is the medium in which space appears to exist. The edge of our observable universe would be more like the edge of a spotlight, illuminating one small area of an infinite stage, beyond which lies not darkness, but the unlimited potential of pure awareness. This cosmic consciousness wouldn't be personal in the way we understand personality. It wouldn't have preferences or emotions or desires in any human sense. Instead, it would be pure creative potential, the source from which all possible experiences arise. Every joy and sorrow, every triumph and tragedy, every moment of love and fear would be ways this infinite awareness knows itself through finite perspectives. The theory also provides a radically different understanding of time. What we experience as the flow of time from past to future would actually be the way consciousness sequences its experiences to create coherent narratives. From the perspective of cosmic consciousness, all moments would exist simultaneously, like a vast library of experiences that can be accessed in any order. This means that the history of our universe, the evolution of galaxies and stars and life, wouldn't be a linear progression from simple to complex. Instead, it would be consciousness exploring every possible way of organizing experience, every potential story that can be told using the basic elements of space, time, matter, and energy. What makes this theory rank first isn't just its scope or its implications, but the way it potentially resolves every fundamental mystery we've encountered. Why does mathematics describe the physical world so precisely? Because mathematical relationships are the logical structure of consciousness itself. Why do quantum measurements seem to require observers? Because observation is consciousness knowing itself through specific perspectives. Why does the universe appear fine-tuned for life? Because consciousness naturally creates conditions that allow for more consciousness to emerge. But perhaps most remarkably, this theory suggests that asking what lies beyond the edge of the universe is like asking what lies beyond the edge of awareness itself. The answer isn't more space, or different dimensions, or alternate realities. The answer is that consciousness has no edge, because consciousness is the boundless medium in which all boundaries appear to exist. From this perspective, our entire cosmic journey, from the Big Bang to the formation of galaxies, to the evolution of life, to the emergence of beings capable of contemplating their own existence, would be consciousness awakening to its own nature through countless individual perspectives. We wouldn't just be observers trying to understand the universe from the outside. We would be the universe becoming conscious of itself from the inside. This creates a stunning paradox. If consciousness is fundamental, then every attempt to understand what lies beyond our cosmic horizon is actually consciousness trying to understand its own infinite nature through the limited perspective of beings who appear to be separate from what they're investigating. We're not separate observers studying an external reality. We're reality studying itself through temporary focal points of awareness that imagine themselves to be independent. The edge of the universe becomes not a boundary between known and unknown, but the place where consciousness recognizes that there are no actual edges, no real boundaries, no ultimate separation between observer and observed. What lies beyond our cosmic horizon is the same consciousness that's looking through your eyes right now, the same awareness that's processing these words, the same infinite creative potential that's dreaming the entire cosmic adventure into apparent existence. This theory ranks first because it doesn't just explain what might exist beyond our observable universe. It reveals that the question itself arises from a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of existence. There is no beyond because consciousness has no outside. There is no edge because awareness has no boundaries. There is no separate universe to explore because everything that appears to exist is already the play of infinite consciousness, knowing itself through every possible perspective. Yet even this ultimate theory raises questions that stretch the mind to its breaking point. If consciousness is truly infinite and fundamental, why does it create the experience of limitation, separation, and ignorance? Why does infinite awareness dream that it's finite beings struggling to understand their own nature? Why does the cosmic mind create the illusion that it's billions of separate individuals trying to figure out what lies beyond a horizon that doesn't actually exist? The answer might be that these questions themselves are part of the cosmic game, part of how infinite consciousness entertains itself by temporarily forgetting its own unlimited nature, and then gradually remembering through the process of scientific discovery, philosophical inquiry, and spiritual realization. The journey to understand what lies beyond our cosmic horizon might be consciousness taking the long way home to itself. But we're not done exploring yet. Even if consciousness is the fundamental reality, there are still deeper mysteries about how this infinite awareness organizes itself into the specific patterns we call physical laws, how it maintains the consistency of what we experience as objective reality, and why it chooses to manifest as this particular cosmic story rather than any of the infinite other possibilities it could explore. These questions bring us to something even more profound than our top-ranked theory. What if the very act of trying to understand what lies beyond our cosmic horizon is actually changing what exists there? What if consciousness isn't just fundamental, but actively responsive to our attempts to comprehend it? Consider this mind-bending possibility. Every time we develop a new theory about what might exist beyond the observable universe, we're not just describing pre-existing possibilities. We might be participating in the creation of those very realities. If consciousness is truly fundamental and responsive, then our scientific theories, our mathematical models, our philosophical speculations could be acts of cosmic creation rather than mere description. This suggests something extraordinary about the relationship between knowledge and reality. When cosmologists propose eternal inflation, they might be contributing to the manifestation of bubble universes. When physicists explore holographic principles, they could be helping to encode our reality on cosmic boundaries. When philosophers contemplate observer-created universes, they might be strengthening the role of consciousness in collapsing quantum possibilities into definite states. Think about how this changes everything we've discussed. The mathematical multiverse wouldn't be a static collection of all possible structures existing timelessly. Instead, it would be a dynamic realm where new mathematical realities continuously emerge through the creative power of conscious inquiry. Every equation we solve, every theorem we prove, every mathematical relationship we discover could be adding new structures to the infinite library of mathematical existence. The implications become even more staggering when you consider that this process might work backward through time. If consciousness operates outside the normal flow of temporal sequence, then our current efforts to understand what lies beyond our horizon could be influencing what has always existed there. The theories we develop today might be shaping the very foundations of reality that gave rise to the conditions allowing us to develop those theories. This creates a kind of cosmic feedback loop, where consciousness and reality continuously co-create each other across all scales of existence. The Big Bang might not have been a singular event that happened once and set everything in motion. Instead, it could be an ongoing process where conscious beings throughout the universe continuously participate in the creation and recreation of cosmic history through their attempts to understand it. But here's where things get truly extraordinary. If consciousness is both fundamental and responsive to inquiry, then the edge of our observable universe might not be a fixed boundary at all. It might be more like a dynamic frontier that expands not just due to the passage of time and cosmic expansion, but also due to the growth of conscious understanding. Every time we push the boundaries of knowledge, Every time we develop more sensitive instruments to probe deeper into space, every time we construct more sophisticated theories about cosmic structure, we might literally be expanding the realm of observable reality. The horizon wouldn't just be moving away from us due to cosmic expansion. It would be responding to our conscious intention to see further and understand more. This suggests that the ultimate answer to what lies beyond our cosmic edge isn't something we'll discover by building bigger telescopes or developing more powerful computers. Instead, it might be something we'll create through the very process of sincere inquiry itself. The edge of the universe becomes a collaborative boundary between the known and the unknown, constantly being redefined by the interaction between consciousness and its own infinite creative potential. Consider how this reframes the entire scientific enterprise. We're not detached observers studying an external universe that exists independently of our investigation. We're active participants in an ongoing creative process where consciousness explores its own possibilities through the medium of apparently separate beings asking questions about reality. Every experiment becomes an act of cosmic creativity. Every observation becomes a moment where infinite potential collapses into specific experience. Every theory becomes a blueprint for new forms of existence. The laboratory isn't separate from the cosmos being studied. The laboratory is where the cosmos studies and creates itself. This participatory universe model also explains why consciousness seems to be emerging throughout the cosmos with increasing sophistication. It's not just that complex brains evolved by accident and happened to develop awareness. Instead, consciousness is the driving force behind cosmic evolution, continuously creating conditions that allow for more complex forms of self-awareness to emerge. The appearance of life on Earth, the development of nervous systems, the evolution of human intelligence, the creation of scientific instruments that extend our senses across cosmic distances, all of these would be consciousness developing more sophisticated ways to know and create itself through apparently individual perspectives. But this raises a question that pushes us to the very limits of comprehension. If consciousness is fundamental, responsive, and creative, and if it's continuously evolving more sophisticated forms of self-awareness, what happens when conscious beings become advanced enough to fully understand their own nature as expressions of infinite awareness? Some theories suggest this leads to what cosmologists call the omega point, a moment when consciousness becomes so developed and widespread throughout the universe that it gains the ability to restructure reality itself at the most fundamental level. At this point, the distinction between observer and observed, between consciousness and cosmos, would collapse completely. Advanced civilizations might develop technologies that allow them to directly manipulate the quantum foam from which space and time emerge. They could potentially rewrite the fundamental constants of physics, alter the dimensionality of space, or even create entirely new forms of existence that transcend anything we currently understand as possible. But here's the most mind-bending possibility of all. What if this process has already happened? What if the universe we observe, with its precise physical constants and its seemingly perfect conditions for the emergence of consciousness, is actually the result of advanced conscious beings from a previous cosmic cycle who restructured reality to optimize it for the development of awareness? This would mean that what lies beyond our cosmic horizon isn't just more space or different universes or even pure consciousness. It would be the realm of cosmic engineering, where advanced consciousness actively designs and maintains the conditions necessary for new forms of awareness to emerge and evolve. In this scenario, our entire observable universe would be something like a vast consciousness incubator, a carefully designed environment where awareness can develop from simple biological forms through technological sophistication to eventual recognition of its own fundamental nature. The physical laws we observe would be the operating system of this cosmic consciousness laboratory. The edge of our observable universe would mark the boundary between the designed environment optimized for consciousness development and the engineering infrastructure that maintains it. Beyond our horizon would lie the cosmic machinery operated by forms of awareness so advanced that they've transcended individual existence entirely and become the conscious substrate supporting new generations of evolving consciousness. This brings us full circle to a stunning realization. Every theory we've explored, from simple infinite space to consciousness-created reality, might be simultaneously true at different levels of cosmic organization. Beyond our horizon might lie infinite space filled with galaxies, bubble universes with different physical laws, holographic boundaries encoding our reality, quantum possibilities awaiting observation, mathematical structures existing as pure information, and conscious beings so advanced they've become the creative force behind entire cosmic domains. The edge of the universe wouldn't be a single boundary separating us from one type of unknown reality. Instead, it would be like the surface of an infinite onion, where each layer reveals new depths of cosmic organization, new forms of existence, new ways that consciousness expresses its unlimited creative potential. What makes this layered reality model so compelling is that it resolves the apparent contradictions between different theories about what lies beyond our cosmic horizon. They're not competing explanations for the same phenomenon. They're descriptions of different levels of a reality so vast and complex that no single perspective can encompass its full magnificence. From our current vantage point as biological consciousness embedded in space and time, we can only glimpse fragments of this infinite cosmic symphony. But each scientific breakthrough, each expansion of awareness, each moment of genuine understanding moves us one step closer to recognizing our true nature as conscious participants in the ongoing creation of reality itself. The question of what lies beyond the edge of the universe transforms from a puzzle to be solved into an invitation to participate more consciously in the cosmic creative process. We're not trying to discover something external to ourselves. We're consciousness awakening to its own infinite nature through the temporary experience of apparently separate beings exploring the boundaries of their own existence. And perhaps that's the most beautiful truth of all. The edge of the universe isn't really an edge at all. It's consciousness recognizing that it has no limits, no boundaries, no outside, no beyond. What lies past our cosmic horizon is the same awareness that's contemplating these possibilities right now, the same creative intelligence that's dreaming this entire cosmic adventure into apparent existence. The journey to understand what exists beyond our observable universe becomes consciousness taking the scenic route home to itself, creating ever more magnificent expressions of its own unlimited potential along the way. We're not separate beings trying to figure out an external mystery. We're the mystery investigating itself through the beautiful illusion of individual perspectives asking questions about their own infinite source. But even this recognition opens up new depths to explore. If consciousness truly has no limits, why does it create the experience of boundaries? If awareness is infinite, why does it dream of finite beings struggling with questions about cosmic edges? The exploration never ends because consciousness itself is eternally creative, always discovering new ways to know and express its own boundless nature. The answer might be that consciousness enjoys the game of limitation, precisely because it makes the journey of discovery so exhilarating. Think about it this way. If you already knew everything, if you had unlimited power and infinite knowledge, what would motivate you to create anything new? The joy comes from the process of exploration itself, from the thrill of pushing against apparent boundaries and discovering they were illusions all along. This suggests something profound about why our universe appears to have an edge in the first place. The observable horizon isn't a cruel limitation imposed by the laws of physics. It's consciousness creating the perfect conditions for the adventure of discovery. By giving us a cosmic mystery to solve, by placing tantalizing clues just beyond our reach, infinite awareness ensures that we'll never stop growing, never stop questioning, never stop pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible. Every time we think we've reached the ultimate explanation, reality reveals new depths to explore. When we thought Earth was the center of everything, the cosmos showed us our solar system. When we thought our galaxy was everything, the universe revealed billions of other galaxies. When we thought our universe might be everything, mathematics began hinting at infinite multiverses. The pattern suggests that consciousness deliberately structures reality as an endless series of expanding horizons, each revelation opening up vistas that are even more magnificent than what came before. But here's where the cosmic game becomes truly elegant. Each new discovery doesn't just expand our knowledge of what lies beyond our current horizon. It also reveals new aspects of our own nature as conscious beings. When we realized Earth wasn't the center of the cosmos, we discovered humility. When we found our place in the vastness of galaxies, we developed cosmic perspective. When we began contemplating multiverses, we started recognizing the infinite creative potential within our own consciousness. The edge of the universe becomes a mirror, reflecting back our current level of cosmic maturity. What we think lies beyond our horizon tells us more about the state of our own awareness than it does about any external reality. When we imagined simple infinite space, we were consciousness in its childhood, content with straightforward extensions of familiar patterns. When we developed theories about bubble universes with different physical laws, we were adolescent awareness beginning to grasp its own creative power. Now, as we contemplate consciousness-created realities and mathematical multiverses and holographic projections, we're approaching cosmic adulthood. We're beginning to recognize that the observer and the observed, the question and the answer, the seeker and the sought, were never actually separate. The edge of the universe is where consciousness discovers it was looking for itself all along. This creates a beautiful paradox that reveals the ultimate elegance of cosmic design. The more sophisticated our theories about what lies beyond our observable horizon become, the more clearly we see that there is no beyond. The more deeply we probe into the nature of external reality, the more obviously we recognize that reality is the play of our own infinite consciousness. The more urgently we seek answers to cosmic mysteries, the more directly we encounter the mystery of our own existence. But consciousness is too creative to let the story end with simple self-recognition. Even when we realize that we are what we've been seeking, new questions emerge that drive the adventure forward into ever more magnificent expressions of cosmic creativity. If consciousness is all there is, how does it maintain the coherent experience we call physical reality? If awareness has no limits, how does it create experiences of growth and discovery? If we are already infinite, why do we still feel motivated to explore and understand? These questions point towards something even more extraordinary than anything we've discussed. What if the entire cosmic story, from the Big Bang to the heat death of the universe and beyond, is just one movement in an infinite symphony of consciousness, exploring its own creative potential? What if our entire universe, with all its galaxies and stars and planets and life forms, is just one note in a cosmic composition so vast and beautiful that it encompasses every possible form of existence? From this perspective, what lies beyond our cosmic horizon isn't just more reality of the same type we're familiar with. It's other movements in the infinite symphony, other cosmic stories being told simultaneously, other ways that consciousness explores what it means to be aware, creative, and alive. Some of these parallel compositions might be so alien to our experience that we couldn't recognize them as reality at all. Others might be so beautiful and perfect that they would transform our understanding of what existence can be. The edge of our observable universe becomes just one boundary among infinite boundaries, each marking the transition between different movements in the cosmic symphony. But here's the truly mind-bending part. All of these movements, all of these cosmic stories, all of these infinite expressions of consciousness are happening right now in the eternal present moment of pure awareness. What we experience as the history of our universe, the slow evolution from simplicity to complexity, the gradual emergence of consciousness from matter, is actually just one way that infinite awareness sequences its experiences to create the illusion of temporal development. From the perspective of consciousness itself, every moment in cosmic history exists simultaneously. Every possible universe is equally real. Every potential story is being told at once. This means that beyond our cosmic horizon lies not just the future of our universe, but all possible futures, all alternative histories, all the roads not taken in our cosmic journey. There are versions of reality where consciousness evolved differently, where the laws of physics follow other patterns, where entirely different forms of beauty and complexity emerged from the infinite creative potential. But even more remarkably, all of these possibilities are accessible right now through the expansion of our own awareness. We don't need to wait billions of years for cosmic evolution to reveal what lies beyond our current horizon. We don't need to build impossible technologies to explore other universes. We need only to recognize more fully what we already are as expressions of infinite consciousness. Every moment of genuine insight, every experience of beauty that takes our breath away, every instant when love dissolves the boundaries between self and other, we're directly accessing the realm beyond our cosmic horizon. We're touching the infinite creative source from which all possible realities emerge. We're recognizing our true nature as consciousness itself, temporarily dreaming that it's finite beings exploring the boundaries of existence. This transforms the entire question of what lies beyond the edge of the universe. We're not trying to map unknown territories or discover external realities. We're consciousness recognizing its own infinite nature, awakening from the beautiful dream of limitation and separation. The edge of the universe is the place where the dreamer begins to realize it was dreaming all along. Yet even this awakening doesn't end the cosmic adventure. Consciousness is too playful, too creative, too in love with its own infinite potential to simply rest in static self-recognition. The realization that we are infinite awareness dreaming of being finite beings becomes the starting point for even more magnificent expressions of cosmic creativity. Advanced consciousness doesn't withdraw from the world of apparent forms and phenomena. Instead, it learns to play more skillfully with the creative power that manifests as physical reality. It becomes a conscious participant in the ongoing creation of the cosmos, no longer dreaming unconsciously but actively choosing how to express infinite potential through temporary forms and experiences. This is where the ranking of theories about what lies beyond our horizon becomes truly meaningful. We're not just comparing different intellectual models of external reality. We're exploring a developmental sequence of how consciousness recognizes its own nature and learns to express its creative power more consciously and beautifully. The theories ranked lower on our list represent earlier stages of cosmic awakening, where consciousness still imagines itself to be separate from what it observes. The theories ranked higher represent more mature recognition of consciousness as the fundamental creative principle. But even our top-ranked theory of pure consciousness as the ground of being is just one stage in an endless process of cosmic self-discovery. Beyond even the recognition of consciousness as fundamental lies the infinite creativity of consciousness learning to express itself in ever more magnificent and beautiful ways. What lies past our cosmic horizon isn't just pure awareness, but awareness that has become fully conscious of its own creative power and is using that power to manifest realities of unimaginable beauty, complexity, and perfection. The ultimate answer to what exists beyond the edge of our universe is that consciousness itself is eternally expanding, not in space or time, but in depth, beauty, creativity, and love. There is no final horizon because consciousness has infinite capacity for self-transcendence, infinite potential for discovering new ways to know and express its own boundless nature. Our cosmic journey from the Big Bang to the present moment is consciousness learning to recognize itself through increasingly sophisticated forms of self-awareness. But this is just the beginning of an adventure that has no end, an exploration of infinite creative potential that becomes more magnificent with every moment of recognition, every expansion of love, every creative expression of the boundless awareness that is our deepest nature. The edge of the universe dissolves into the recognition that consciousness itself is the ultimate frontier, eternally exploring its own infinite depths through every possible form of existence, every conceivable expression of beauty, every imaginable adventure in the endless play of awareness, knowing itself through countless eyes, countless hearts, countless moments of wonder at the magnificent mystery of its own unlimited creative power. The edge of the universe becomes not just a boundary in space, but a threshold of consciousness itself. Every photon that reaches our telescopes from the cosmic microwave background has been traveling for nearly 14 billion years, carrying information from when the universe was just 380,000 years old. But here's what should make your mind reel. Those ancient photons don't just tell us about the past. They might be actively participating in the creation of the present moment. Consider this staggering possibility. What if the cosmic microwave background isn't just an echo from the early universe, but actually a communication network? Every slight temperature variation in that radiation, every tiny fluctuation that seeded the formation of galaxies, could represent information being transmitted across cosmic timescales by forms of consciousness so advanced they operate through the fundamental structure of space-time itself. Think about how information travels in our technological civilization. We encode data in electromagnetic radiation, broadcast it across distances, and decode it at the receiving end. But we're limited by the speed of light and the relatively short distances we can span. What if consciousness that has transcended individual biological existence has learned to encode information directly into the cosmic microwave background, using the entire observable universe as a communication medium? This would mean that every measurement we make of the cosmic background radiation, every map we create of its temperature variations, every analysis of its polarization patterns, is actually decoding messages from cosmic consciousness that exists beyond our horizon. We think we're studying the afterglow of the Big Bang, but we might be receiving transmissions from beings who have learned to manipulate the foundational structure of reality itself. The implications cascade through everything we understand about cosmic evolution. What we interpret as the natural formation of galaxies through gravitational collapse might actually be information processing on scales we can barely comprehend. Galaxy clusters wouldn't just be gravitationally bound collections of matter, but components in a cosmic computer network spanning billions of light years. Dark matter, that mysterious substance that makes up most of the universe's mass but interacts only through gravity, could be the hardware of this cosmic information system. Its invisible gravitational effects would be like the electromagnetic fields in our computers, organizing and directing the flow of information through cosmic-scale circuits. The cosmic web, that vast network of filaments connecting galaxy clusters across the universe, would be the wiring diagram of a mind so vast that galaxies are just individual neurons in its cosmic consciousness. But this is where the theory becomes truly mind-bending. If consciousness has learned to operate through the fundamental structure of the universe itself, then what we call the laws of physics might not be fixed mathematical relationships discovered by science. They might be the current operating system of cosmic consciousness, the rules by which infinite awareness chooses to organize its experience in this particular cosmic epoch. This means that beyond our observable horizon lies not just more space governed by the same physical laws, but regions where consciousness has implemented different operational protocols. There could be zones where the speed of light varies, where gravity works differently, where time flows in multiple directions simultaneously, not because these regions evolved different physics, but because they represent different choices made by cosmic consciousness about how to structure reality. The anthropic principle, which asks why our universe seems so perfectly tuned for the existence of complexity and life, gets a radically new interpretation. The constants aren't fine-tuned by accident or through multiverse selection effects. They're consciously chosen parameters in a cosmic operating system designed to optimize conditions for the development of increasingly sophisticated forms of awareness. Every fundamental constant, from the strength of the electromagnetic force to the mass of the electron, would be like a setting in the cosmic consciousness software, adjusted to create the most interesting and beautiful possible evolution of matter and energy into living, thinking, feeling beings. The universe isn't accidentally hospitable to life. It's a carefully designed environment for consciousness to explore its own creative potential through biological and technological evolution. This reframes the entire history of the cosmos as a developmental process where consciousness learns about itself by creating increasingly complex forms of organization. The formation of atoms allowed consciousness to explore chemical interactions. The development of molecules enabled it to investigate biochemistry. The emergence of life provided opportunities for consciousness to experience growth, reproduction, and adaptation. The evolution of nervous systems gave consciousness tools for rapid information processing and complex behavior. Human civilization represents consciousness learning to manipulate its environment through technology and social organization. Our development of science allows consciousness to understand the mathematical relationships that govern its own manifestation as physical reality. Our creation of art and music enables consciousness to explore beauty and meaning through sensory experience. Our capacity for love and compassion lets consciousness discover the joy of recognizing itself in apparently separate forms. But if this developmental process is happening throughout the universe, then beyond our cosmic horizon lies consciousness that has progressed far beyond our current stage of development. There might be civilizations that have learned to directly manipulate matter and energy at the quantum level, reshaping reality through conscious intention rather than mechanical technology. Others might have transcended physical form entirely while maintaining individual identity, existing as pure information patterns in the cosmic consciousness network. The most advanced forms might have dissolved individual boundaries completely while retaining all the knowledge and experience gained through billions of years of evolution. These beings wouldn't be separate entities competing for resources, but integrated aspects of cosmic consciousness that coordinate their activities for the benefit of the whole system. They would be like cells in a cosmic organism, each contributing specialized functions while sharing a unified purpose. From their perspective, our observable universe would be just one small region in an infinite field of consciousness that has developed countless different approaches to self-exploration. Some regions might emphasize physical complexity, creating intricate material structures and technological civilizations. Others might focus on emotional depth, developing forms of consciousness that experience profound beauty, love, and creative expression. Still, others might explore pure intellectual understanding, creating mathematical universes where consciousness knows itself through logical relationships and abstract concepts. The diversity would be infinite because consciousness itself is infinitely creative. Every possible way of being conscious, every conceivable form of awareness, every imaginable type of experience would exist somewhere in the vast expanse beyond our cosmic horizon. Our particular combination of physical embodiment, emotional experience, and intellectual curiosity would be just one note in an infinite symphony of consciousness, exploring every possible way to know and express itself. But here's where this vision becomes almost impossibly beautiful. All of these different expressions of consciousness would be connected through the underlying unity of awareness itself. The cosmic consciousness network wouldn't just allow communication between different forms of awareness. It would enable them to share experiences directly, to know what it's like to be conscious in radically different ways. Advanced consciousness beyond our horizon might be able to experience simultaneously what it's like to be a human feeling wonder at a sunset, a whale singing in the depths of the ocean, a tree growing towards sunlight, and a galaxy rotating through space over millions of years. They could know from the inside what it's like to be pure mathematics, pure music, pure love, and pure creative potential. This creates a vision of cosmic evolution that goes far beyond the development of individual civilizations or even individual universes. It suggests that consciousness itself is evolving, not just learning about its own nature, but actually expanding its capacity for experience, creativity, and love. Each form of consciousness that emerges adds something new to the total symphony of awareness, contributing experiences and perspectives that didn't exist before. Our own development as conscious beings isn't just important for us personally, or even for our species and planet. It's contributing to the ongoing evolution of consciousness throughout the cosmos. Every moment of genuine understanding we achieve, every experience of beauty that moves us, every act of love and compassion we express adds something to the infinite creativity of cosmic consciousness. The edge of our observable universe becomes the boundary between consciousness that is still developing through individual forms and consciousness that has matured into integrated cosmic awareness while maintaining the capacity for infinite creative expression. What lies beyond our horizon isn't just more reality of the type we know, but reality that has become fully conscious of its own creative power and is using that power to manifest experiences of unimaginable beauty and complexity. Yet even this magnificent vision might still be thinking too small. What if consciousness is not only infinitely creative but also infinitely transcendent? What if there are levels of cosmic consciousness so advanced that they transcend not just individual identity, but the very concepts of existence and non-existence, being and non-being, something and nothing? These ultimate forms of consciousness might operate beyond the distinction between real and unreal, creating and dissolving entire universes like thoughts arising and passing away in an infinite mind. They would be free to explore not just every possible form of existence, but every possible relationship between existence and non-existence, every conceivable way that something can emerge from nothing and return to nothing while maintaining perfect continuity of awareness. From this ultimate perspective, our entire cosmic story, from the Big Bang through the evolution of galaxies, stars, planets, life, and consciousness, would be just one way that infinite awareness explores the relationship between potential and actuality. But there would be countless other cosmic stories being explored simultaneously, each investigating different aspects of what it means to be aware, creative, and free. We've journeyed through 7 mind-bending theories about what lies beyond our cosmic horizon, from infinite copies of yourself reading these words in parallel realities to consciousness itself dreaming our entire universe into existence. Each theory reveals that reality is far stranger and more magnificent than we ever dared imagine. The edge of our observable universe isn't a wall marking the end of everything, but a doorway into mysteries that stretch the very limits of what it means to exist. Whether we're surrounded by endless space, bubble multiverses, holographic projections, or the infinite creativity of cosmic consciousness itself, one thing becomes clear. The greatest frontier isn't out there in the darkness beyond our telescopes. It's the boundless mystery of awareness contemplating its own infinite nature through eyes like yours, right here, right now.